Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be comparing a 2021 Dodge Durango RT to a 2021 Dodge Durango GT. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to the Dodge Ram here in Sandy for providing us with both of the Durangos. Check out the inventory in the link below. Let's just get straight into the video. Now let's go under the hoods of both of the Durangos. Starting over here with the GT, we have a naturally aspirated 3.6 liter V6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 18 around town and then 25 on the highway, with power outputs being 295 horsepower and then 260 pound-feet of torque. Now coming over to the RT, we have a naturally aspirated 5.7 liter Hemi V8 that also goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is a little bit less, 14 around town and then 22 on the highway, but powers up quite a bit, 360 horsepower and then 390 pound-feet of torque. Let's go to the front ends of both of the Durangos. So first off, you actually notice the difference with the turn signal indicator. So you can see on the GT, it's just that little light right there. And then you can see with the RT, it's the full LED accent light. So they have it fully integrated, whereas the GT, it's just that light. So a little bit of a difference between the two. And then popping over to the GT, you can see that we have a standard Durango hood on this, nothing too crazy. But you can see with the rest of the light itself, it's all the same here on the GT as it is on the RT. You still get the really cool performance front fascia. Got the fog lights down below with the venting there on the side, and then all of the venting here just down below, which just looks really aggressive. No parking sensors on the GT. Coming over to the RT, you can see it looks so much more aggressive just because you have the hood right there. That's just, it's crazy. I love the venting on it. And then you can see you got a little bit more light here with the RT, so visibility is going to be just a little bit better. And then you can see the whole front end right here, and then you can see that little thing right there in the grill, which looks pretty cool. And then this whole area down here is all the same, but you do get parking sensors on the RT. So other than the hood and the lights, they're pretty similar from a front end perspective. Coming to the side here for the tire and wheel setup, we actually have the same exact setup, 265mm tires on 20-inch wheels on each of the Durangos. As for the GT here, you can see they do kind of like the chrome look there. On the RT, it's all, well, it's not blacked out, it's actually dark metallic gray, which looks really good. So gonna give the wheels to the RT because they just look a little bit nicer, but again, same wheel and tire setup. You can see tread pattern, all the same. And then you do get that really cool Hemi badge there on the RT, so everyone knows that you got the bad boy engine. And then here's a quick look at what we can see with the suspension on the RT, and then kind of compare that to what we have there on the GT. And then also on the GT, the mirror is body colored. On the RT, it's blacked out because this one has the black top package. But that is everything for the side. Let's head to the back. Let's go over the back of both of the Durangos. So starting again with the GT right here, notice that you've got this little area where you've got some storage just underneath. And then with the seat, to fold it down, all you have to do is pull that and then basically just push it forward. And then when you want the seat back, you just pull the strap, pull it back up. Pretty straightforward. There is a 12-volt right there, and then you guys can see this is where you can put a cargo cover. And then you get a little bit of extra storage right here. Notice that this is plastic. The reason I'm mentioning that is if we come over to the RT, a little bit nicer, but again, I'd feel bad if I damaged it, so maybe the plastic's better. But anyway, storage space is all the same. You can see all that stuff is the same. How the seat functions is the same. Still got the 12-volt. It's like all the other stuff is the same, except that's a hydraulic lift gate. This one is power, so we press that and it'll close it. Now let's go over the rear end of both of the Durangos. Starting over here with the GT, you guys can see light bars are the same. Both have the full LED lights. Badging is in chrome on the GT. Now down to the tow package right there. If you have a little hump there with the bezel, that means it does have a tow package. You have the dual outlet exhausts just next to the tow package. GT towing capacity, about 6,200 pounds. Everything on the RT is pretty much the same. You got the dual exhaust tips, blacked out badging instead of chrome badging. Tow package as well, but the towing capacity is about 7,400 pounds. So again, 6,200, 7,400 pounds. So about a 1,200 pound difference between the two trucks. Now here's the door panel in the GT. So you can see that we have this interesting trim right there, and they have really nice soft touch leather with the white stitching that goes all over. And then coming over to the seats with the GT, you can see that you've got the full leather seats, and then it's just smooth there in the center as well. Again, you've got the white stitching there on the side, and then this is a bench seat configuration. But we're actually gonna pop in, and I got a little bit of a tight squeeze because I decided to park the vehicles in a very stupid place. Anyways, I'm 5'11", got a good amount of headroom. Legroom solid as well. You can see you've got a couple vents right there. You do have the climate controls here at the top, and then since this does have a bench seat, you do have cup holders here in the center that you pull down. As for the third row, like I say in every single Durango review, right now, reserve this for kids. Legroom's tight, headroom's good, but just the legroom's tight back there. And let's head to the RT. Now looking at the door panel here with the RT, you can see you've got the red stitching, which looks really nice, smooth leather. You have the same trim as what's in the GT. Coming to the seats, you can see here on the side it's the same, again, just red stitching, but here in the center you have the perforations in the center, a little bit softer compared to what the GT has. And then this one also has the captain chairs. But let's pop in, and I've got more space on this side, but I still knocked the camera. But anyways, you can see headroom is the same, legroom is the same. Here with the vents, you can see that you actually get some USBs, a full power outlet, and heated seats that the GT didn't have. And then we've got a couple cup holders, and then as with the back, a little bit easier to access, but same amount of space back there. Now here's the door panel with the GT. So you can see, again, you've got the same trim with all the leather padding and the stitching. You've got all of your window controls, your mirror adjustments as well. Got this black trim around the door handle, which is pretty neat. And then coming to the front seats, again, the full black leather with the stitching on the side, no perforations in the seats. And we'll kind of see how these feel compared to the RT. I'm guessing the RT is going to feel a little bit softer. And then you can see you've got the adjustment there on the side of the seat. Pedal layout just down below. And then we've got all of the light controls right here. But there's one more look before we pop in and go over the rest of the GT. Now we're just going to briefly go over things on the interior with the GT. So you got smooth leather at the top and at the bottom, perforated leather on the sides, was a little bit grippier. We're actually going to grab it, and then black stitching with the steering wheel so that it kind of just all matches. You got paddle shifters on the back of the steering wheel with radio controls. That you've got the volume control on this side, channel control on the other side, cruise control, and then you've got this for the center stack, your voice commands. And then you can see right there, you've got the little stock for the windshield wiper. Coming here into the center screen, analog gauges on the left and the right side. That little screen there in the center, you can change it basically, pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy. And the thing I usually leave it to be is just a little speedo right there. But this one needs to be set up because it hasn't been yet. And 50 degrees outside, I'm in shorts. I'm crazy. Anyways, coming over here, you can see that you've got the new center screen. Sorry, you guys probably don't want to see my reflection. But with the center screen, you've got the backup camera, which resolution on is pretty good. You can see this one does have parking sensors in the rear, even though it doesn't have the front parking sensors like the RT. As for the rest of the screen, response time is really good on it. And you guys will notice that this is the same as what the RT has. It just has less functions than what the RT has with some of the equipment. But for the most part, the screens are pretty much identical. Response time is really good on both of them, and I just like both of them in general. Just down below the screen, we've got all of our analog controls for the screen, and then you got your analog climate controls. Remember, it's a tri-zone climate. You got 2 in the front and then 1 climate zone in the rear. And then you got our parking sensors here, stability control, hazard lights, and then for the drive modes. So right now we're in eco mode. Press that, that'll turn eco mode off, so it's technically normal mode. And then you press this, and then that'll turn the sport mode on. And the sport mode does give you a graphic here in the center. The other ones do not. And then you got your auto stop start. This one does have trailer brakes integrated from the factory. They're just below the little engine stop start button. There's a little bit of extra storage here with a couple of USBs. Here's the shifter for that 8-speed automatic transmission. Again, you can manually shift the gears with the shifter, or you can use the paddles, whichever you prefer. And then it's really cool. You've got all the nice stitching and leather all in this whole area. Center console, nothing too crazy. You got a 12 volt. And then you have the top portion of the console. And then coming over here, again, you got all the stitching with the black leather. And then you got the suede right there on the inside. And then I guess we have a little 12 volts right there. And then finishing things up, no sunroof up top, but we do have the little lights here. Pretty straightforward sunglass holder. And that's all for the GT. Let's head over to the RT. Now here's the front door panel with the RT. So again, you can see you've got that red stitching with the cool trim just up above, all the window controls, and then this with the door handle. But you do get memory seats with the RT, where the GT didn't have those. And then coming over to the front seats, we'll kind of see how these feel. So yeah, these feel just a little bit softer to me compared to the GT. I want you guys to let me know if you have felt both seats, but these feel a little bit softer to me. All the red stitching. You got your adjustments on the side of the seat, pedal layout there at the bottom, little light control, and then the adjustment for the steering wheel is automatic. But there's one more look before we pop in the RT. Now, as for the RT, I'm only going to touch base on the things that are different between the vehicles, and then I'll kind of tell you guys the things that are all the same, but I'm not going to go as into depth on them, if that makes sense. So the entire steering wheel setup is completely identical between both of the vehicles. As for the gauge cluster, that is also completely identical, except for this one's been set up so you guys can kind of see how it looks like once it's been set up with the different screens. But the most important thing was just kind of the main screen right there. And then as for this center screen, you can see that the center screen is the same between both of them. Response time is really solid on both of them. Now, in terms of functionality, the thing that this has over the GT is it does have heated and cooled seats up front and a heated steering wheel. And then the other thing that it has in the application tab that I did not see with the GT was the performance pages right there. So basically just gives you performance information. So like if I rev it a little bit, you can see the dyno graph will go and yeah, tells you that you're getting some nice horsepower right there. But yeah, other than that, everything else with the screen is the same. Even the backup camera, you can see that that is all the same between both of them. But remember, this has parking sensors in the front and the rear, whereas the GT just has them in the rear. And then this whole area, you can see it looks pretty much identical, other than the fact that you have the heated seats and heated steering wheel controls, and then the air conditioned seats as well. Same setup with the drive modes, and again, sport mode, that still looks the same. Still get the trailer brake in the same area. Now with the RT, you actually get wireless phone charging. It's just right there in that little area. And then shifter, this whole thing is all the same. You do get low range with the RT where the GT didn't have that. So again, that's another thing that the RT has. It's a nice plus. And then again with the red stitching, this is all the same with the center console. Like everything just functions all the same. Same here with the glove box area. And then the other difference between these particular two ones is this one does have the sunroof, just a regular sunroof, and it also has universal garage door openers up at the top. Now that we're done going over the interiors on both of the Durangos, let's quickly get into pricing. So this RT Durango stickers for about $55,000. This GT Durango stickers for about $43,000. Now with all the packages and pricing taken into consideration, obviously we do have to pick a winner for today's video. So first and foremost, $12,000 is quite a bit of money in terms of the difference between both of these. However, the RT from an exterior perspective, especially with that hood, looks a whole lot better. But yes, I understand that hood is not worth $12,000. But again, the RT looks better from the exterior. I like the interior in the RT, especially with the red stitching, just a little bit more contrast. The RT also has more features. It has better performance because you've got the V8 versus the V6. Yes, fuel economy is a little bit less, especially around town. It's a huge difference between the two. But yeah, you get worse fuel economy, but better towing capacity, better performance overall. And so the winner I'm going to pick for today's video is going to be the RT. Again, I understand it's quite a bit more money, but you get more features, you get better performance, you get better exterior and interior, just packaging in general. And so overall, I think it's worth it. But I want you guys to let me know in the comment section below which one you'd pick, but I'm going with the RT. That is going to sum things up for today's video on the RT Durango and comparing that to the new GT Durango. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Dodge Ram here in Sandy for providing us with both of the Durangos. Check out the inventory in the link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.